Hey guys, we've noticed that some of you have been watching so much of our content, and we really appreciate it. But we also see that some of you have not subscribed yet, and we just want to let you know that it's free to subscribe. It's free to watch the content that we have. You can watch it at YouTube. You can watch it on Spotify. You can watch it on TikTok. But the place to be is YouTube. Go subscribe, click the bell, let us know you're there, and get ready for the next one. Thank you all.
I think that my metabolism is like shooting through the roof because all day today I've just been sweating. I don't know if y'all get that, that feeling that just as soon as you kick off your new diet and it starts to roll out, that your metabolism goes.
Has it been like this any other day?
Maybe a little bit yesterday.
Maybe you're just finally working harder.
No, I can't work any harder, dude, to be honest. Period.
Well, the boss says.
Which boss? My wife? Is that what you're saying? I'd like to, that's actually a really good segue into what I think would be a great topic, which would be, does everything have to be monetized? Right? I feel like we monetize everything to death. I know that personally, I have a little bit of like a testimony, so to speak, where I feel like I was about to that point where I think it was the closest I've ever been to like actually like potentially giving up, like doing anything extracurricular, not my regular job. And that's
when was this?
Probably like 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks. Yeah. Maybe 2.5, 3 weeks ago.
So I think it's a good place for me to ask a question at, right? So like a lot of people feel like they can get stuck into that place. Like how were you self-aware to be able to like know where you were and get out of it? Because a lot of people get stuck there.
It's funny because God meets you like right in the middle of like the stuff that you're going through, and he met me in the middle of like what I was feeling from conversations with you, conversations with an old colleague of mine, somebody very dear to me, several actually conversations with him. And then some others, my wife. And I think that he just strategically placed certain people in my life, especially some people that have never spoken into me that way prophetically they've always been encouraging, but they've never really, from like a biblical standpoint, really poured in the way that I feel like they poured in during that time, which felt very specific to what I was going through. And they had really no idea exactly what I was going through. And so even now, like, I think I just had a phone call with one of them maybe like a week ago. And I said, hey, I don't think you understand like what that conversation did for me. Cause it allowed me to step back and realize that, the area that I was in, the feelings that I was having were real. I think that they were pent up over not just the last, how long have we been podcasting? You and I specifically together.
Over a year?
A little bit over a year. A year and 3-4 months? Something like that. Yeah. Not even like within just that time frame of things like developing to the extent that they're at now, being on camera, dealing with YouTube, dealing with all the things that come with that. But like, I think this was probably 10 or 15 years in the making. No, 10 or 12 years in the making.
Well, where it just compounded.
Yeah. Because it probably started when my career started by getting thrown to the wolves. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And as much as you can look back on those experiences and go, that's who made me who I am today. At the same time, that's not really the right way to get trained to do anything. So I probably haven't dealt with some of those feelings or just it was pressure on day one, right? Yeah. It wasn't like, hey, I'm going to walk you through, you're coming on board as a new director or a new VP or new executive, and you kind of get this kind of blueprint as to what to follow to make sure that you're falling in sync or that zip stream of what the business is requiring or wanting. It was literally, place, do your thing. You're either going to make it or you're not going to make it. Instant pressure. And so I don't think I've really processed all that appropriately. And so now being at a new place of pressure where I gave my body before, and now I'm giving my mental, right? I think that new place of pressure, expectation, it kind of maybe feels like too, like we're out here hustling with this podcast. In a lot of ways, we also still have our businesses that we're running or just like managing 9-to-5s. And if you don't succeed here on this side, on the podcast side, then you start to, at least for me, I start to feel inadequate. You know what I mean? Like it's, especially if I'm thinking about the juggling of my family, my income, my stability, my security for my family, you know, and that sort of thing. I feel like for the first time in my career of doing something beyond just the 9 to 5, I've hit that brick wall where it was like, okay, whoa, should I pause and just focus on the regular business for a little while so I can get that, kind of come to terms with that? And those conversations rescued me for sure.
Man, yeah, I think there's a lot to unpack there, right? Because one, you're figuring out like how to process emotion in a healthy way, two, maybe in an unhealthy way, right?
Yeah.
But I think as most people go through like trials and just bombarded with life, and it feels like it's one after another, right? My mom used to have this saying that everything comes in threes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, everything comes in threes. And so like my entire life was just surrounded by like threes. Like, okay, I lost this, so now 2 things must be coming, or this happened, so 2 more things must be coming, right? And it can be any sort of anything, right? You can be like lose a job, break a leg. It can be any 3 things, right? It comes in threes. And so like I kind of went on this philosophy that it comes in threes, and I kind of learned to kind of bring myself out of that a little bit more, because that's very like kind of superstitious.
Okay.
And so, but what I love about what you said though, right, was that it was the people conversations that got you out of it. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a conversation with AI. It wasn't it wasn't a conversation that you had inside your head that you eventually kind of just worked yourself out of.
Yeah.
Right. Which I'm so happy that you have that, because I'm sure there's a point in your life where you didn't have that at all, where you did have to work yourself out of your head.
But
internalize it. But like overly, like what happens, right, is you start to internalize that. And as men, we're really good stuffers. And so we stuff it down as far as possible until we don't feel it anymore. And then it comes up like 12 years later, right? And like we're angry at our wives, or angry at a loved one, or angry at somebody, right? And you're like, what the heck is going on? You're like, I know exactly what it is. Right. And it just hits you. And so, I mean, it's really good to see like that self-aware, to be able to understand like what you need in those moments, because I mean, at some point at one time that wasn't there.
Yeah.
I wasn't there, man.
Well, and not only that, but, and this is no offense to like what you and I have going on, but I think I got met too with, going back and listening to some old footage, kind of listening to myself and seeing who I was before. And I think we kind of got caught up in this like process, which I think inevitably hits any podcaster that's out here trying to like control a niche, or even just like infiltrate a niche, right? Which is pretty heavily inundated, the one that we're in, business, entrepreneurs. I mean, you see it all over every social media. And I think because of that, it felt like for me, I kind of got away from like being true to myself, true to the podcast, so to speak. Not the brand. The brand's amazing. You know, the things that we're doing are like super fun. But I don't know if you feel the same way, but I feel like at some point it became a thing where it's like, okay, expectation. Okay. Monetization. Okay. Resources. How are we going to do this? This needs to pay for itself. So we need to get on board with these types of people and have these types of conversations. And then you get on with those people and you start to kind of, I don't want to say fake it till you make it, but you kind of have to put on this persona. You know, it's like this, we're almost acting here in a way as raw and unfiltered as we are. When a guest is on, you're trying to bring your baby, your play in front of this individual. It's almost a 60-minute pitch, right? Of like, why is your podcast worth listening to? And I feel like some of the old episodes, and I remember when this really all dawned on me, I was mowing the yard, listening to an old episode, and it just like snapped. I was laughing. I was listening to myself, and it just brought back all of those old memories that are still true to what we're doing today, but even more so are prevalent in like how I want to address each guest that comes on, like moving forward, like how I present myself and the authenticity of myself, you know, and what I get out of this. And ultimately what I get out of this is like a therapeutic session, which is like self-internalized. I go home and I'm able to process, okay, I got that out. Maybe I did mess up a word and like I'm okay with it, you know, whereas beforehand I was a terrible speaker and that sort of thing. So I get so much out of this that's not monetary. That I want to continue to draw from that. Yeah. And I want it to influence how I interact with guests and even yourself on like some of these types of episodes, if that makes sense.
Man, that's so interesting, right? Because I have a different view.
Okay.
And so it's so cool to see your view and what it does for you. And so when I came on, beginning of last year, as a host, right, I was trying to find my footing. And so I didn't like the way that I said things, or I was like, I could have said that differently, or that seemed a little more forced than I wanted it to be, right? Because these are topics that I know very well, and I know business very well, and I understand the world really well because I've been in it for a while. And so for me, two things I wanted out of it, right? The first one is, man, like I told you from the start, this is freaking cool, and I want to keep the cool crap going. Right. That's what I wanted. Two was to strengthen my relationships with other business leaders in the community and be able to like build relationships for the things that we're going to build into the future. But one thing came forth that I never thought like would actually surface. Right. So last year, most people don't know, I went through a divorce, and the biggest thing for me, man, was it became therapeutic. Right. For the times that I had that were hard as crap showing up still was probably one of the hardest things, but into those conversations, man, they became therapeutic for me to be able to break away from the mundane, break away from your own thoughts, break away from all the bad that was happening around you, around me, and then being able to have like laughs and shares and just lively conversations, one about things that I love talking about in general, but also just meeting freaking amazing humans that are just like us. Just like you guys, just like anybody, right? They're doing the hard crap because they really want to make something happen and they believe in what they're doing.
Well, and that's really hard to do, man. I actually didn't even think about that until really right now. I think just because we were in the midst of it, that is something really difficult to do. It's like podcasting and having a small child. It's almost impossible if you really want to be present, you know what I mean? And going through something like that, as difficult as those moments are, especially being a child of divorced parents and that sort of thing. I didn't even think about like how that could have been. I'm glad that you took away from the podcasting what you did versus it being one of those things that you could have had a lot of resentment towards a podcast. I'm going through something really difficult, and you're still expecting me to come over here and perform and do these things, right? And it's like, I think that just is a testament to like your mind and being able to compartmentalize. Okay, I'm going through something really difficult. I have certain feelings probably keep me up at night, right? But you're still driven to come here and lay it all out for the audience to kind of see, and to bring on new guests that have exciting stories to share in the midst of something that's really difficult for you. That's a really hard thing to do, man. So kudos to you.
Yeah, man. The biggest thing for me, man, was just going, okay, like today I'm going to show up. Today I show up and I give everything I have.
Was that every day?
Sometimes it was.
Yeah.
Sometimes it was, man. Sometimes it was, I mean, at the beginning, right? And the people that are close to me around me kind of knew as well, is I wasn't able to see past a day, right? I mean, for months, I couldn't see what the next day was. I had enough energy for that day and that day only. So if I had a podcast that day, if I had 15 meetings that day, whatever it was, right? For that day only, right? That's all I had, right?
Yeah.
And this a constant reminder and this of like, where God tells you that He gives you enough for the day. He feeds the birds in the air and the fish in the sea, right? And like, but He gives you enough for the day. Do not worry about tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right. Like that was like, okay, that's just the beautiful thing. Right. Or, the other verse is like, the Lord gives, the Lord takes, blessed be the name of the Lord. The Lord gives and the Lord takes, right? So it doesn't matter what it is, right? I mean, in the good times, the Lord gives and the good takes. In the bad times, the Lord gives and the good takes. And the Lord
pretty
takes,
balanced, yeah.
right? It's balanced,
Yeah.
and then you also have, right, this too shall pass, right? This too shall pass. This is hard as crap. This too shall pass. Things are going amazing. This too shall pass, right? And it allows you to understand the seasons of where you ebb and flow from, right? And so those are like the verses that were like kind of in my head of just trying to figure out like where I was on a daily basis. Before then, from that point, I was able to go, okay, I can see a week out now. Okay, now I can see a month. Now I can see like a few months, right? And now I'm able to see like I personally, I never go past 18 months, 20 months, just because at the end of the day, it's just like.
Yeah.
I don't think 5 years ahead. That's way too long, right? I can think 18 months ahead though.
Yeah, that's my toxic trait. I'm like 10 years in the future somewhere.
Oh, I can't, man. My head just doesn't. So I used to be like, oh, like I used to be able to just sit there and just think, be like, oh, that's super freaking cool. Like 10 years, this is happening. This is happening. I'm in this moment right here. This is me. This is what's happening around me in this moment. When this goal hits, this is the people that are around me. That's what I used to think, right? And then it became this point where, I'd hit goals and that didn't happen, or I'd hit a milestone and the people that I thought were there were never there.
Ooh, that's a big one, yeah.
Dang, that was the wrong choice. Didn't think that was going to happen, right? It set you back over this way, so you got to pivot, right? And so now I started thinking like 18, maybe 24 months, but usually about 18-month time frames, just because it gives me enough runway for the year that I'm in, and then be able to plan for the next year, right? I'm not talking about quarters, planning my financial quarters, planning anything like that.
Yeah.
It's literally going, okay, like what do I want to accomplish by this date? And what do I want to accomplish, not even by this date, this vicinity of like an era, right? June, July, summer, fall, whatever, right? Like thinking in like seasons, I think is really important. And it's kind of just dawned on me, right? If you're thinking in seasons, if you're giving yourself 3-ish months, right? Well, if you're in tech, you're giving yourself like 7 months if you're, depending on the season you're in.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, right, you're able to ebb and flow out of that, right? And for me personally, it gives me enough room to play with, right? If it doesn't work out, all good. I'll push it to the next season, right? Maybe that's maybe what I'm trying to do over here is not a harvest. So, okay, cool. Let me push it aside. Let me plant. Oh, it's not a planting? Okay, I need a till, right? This is a working season. Okay, it's not a working season. Okay, I just need a rest, right? Like what season am I in? Just ebb and flow in and out of those and go from there.
Yeah, and I found that really interesting, man, because you said something, it started as one thing and it became therapeutic for you. And it's so funny because we almost shifted, right? I'm therapeutic all the way. You're up here, you have all this business knowledge, et cetera. And we kind of came together and we met somewhere in the middle as we were starting this process. And through your endeavors of what you experienced, it became therapy for you. And for me, it became this huge like masterclass of business and how do you talk to, a founder with 1,500 locations like Frank Cottle, and feel sufficient in the room, you know what I mean? Which is not accurate, but at the same time, if you've never built anything, for instance, I think I was watching C-Bum and C-Bum was talking about like the question he hates getting. Have you seen that clip? The question he hates getting are, what are your tips and tricks for getting to where you are? And he's like, I hate this question. I hate this. And just for y'all, I appreciate everybody who comes up and asks and stuff like that. He's like, but you can see who those people are. The people that ask those types of questions are usually starting out and they want all of this like knowledge. He's like, and then I meet other people who are in the midst of their grind. Hey, I just lost 100 pounds in like the last 6 months. Just want to say, hey, and thank you and get a picture. And then they walk out. He's like, the difference between those two people is the one who lost 100 pounds, who didn't ask a question of tips and tricks, understands that there are no tips and tricks, So for me, having never built a company, having never worked at that capacity, having never exited out of a company, when I walk or step into these, at least in the past with the guests that, have that experience, it's a little intimidating sometimes, for me. And so, especially coming from absolutely nothing, until I started to realize that most of these people came from absolutely nothing, and so that's kind of the development for both of us. It's so interesting to see the shift where you started there, I started therapy, and we switched roles for almost a season. And now we've come back to this synergistic like position where I feel like we're both heading in the right direction. And at least realizing, like you said, catching on to the things that we could do better, which is what's so wonderful about podcasting, and being able to go back and just kind of see the stuff that you've said and work on things. And if you're not doing that about a podcast, if you're not podcasting and internalizing when you get home and reflecting and changing,
it's one throughout the other.
What's that?
It's one ear and out the other.
Yeah.
Right. Like podcasting for podcasters, right? Being in it for a little bit now is like this way to share something with a larger community that the people around you in your everyday life don't understand.
Yeah.
Right. It makes you a part of a community that's like, I'm heard, I'm seen, I'm understood. right? But if you're in that niche long enough, then it's like, okay, well, I have something to share because I've been in this for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So let me just share this out, right? And then that's a really cool place to be too, right? But I also love the guy or the girl that says, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I'm starting a new industry, and documents the entire process along the way, right? Starts from day one, to day 1,000, right? And they're just knocking it out, and you can see the progression. Like that would be cool as heck to see. And I would even sponsor a podcast like that as well.
Yeah.
Right. Somebody's like, hey, if anybody wants to like literally learn any type of niche that they want to learn, and they literally want to podcast the entire way through and document their journey, like I'll put my money where my mouth is. I'll buy you everything that you need.
Do you feel like that's already happening like a little bit?
It is and it isn't, right?
Yeah.
I think people need to be incentivized at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
And so if people are incentivized, then they tend to do better, right? You have the ones that will go out and do it on their own because that's just their mindset. They're hustlers, right? But you have the other ones that are like, I don't know, I really want to do this. But when you put something like I just said behind it, like, hey, if you want to go into a new industry and you want to document the entire way through it, and I'll pay for the entire podcasting experience for you, so all you have to do is show up and talk about what you're doing. Now people go, hold up. That's enough incentive for me to do it.
Incentives are so important too. And I think it's like almost a good segue in this conversation, especially talking about how we overly monetize and kill off the things that we find therapeutic or fun or cool or just a good hobby, to do something that makes you better at the end of the day.
Right.
I think if it doesn't make you better, like you probably shouldn't do it. And I think that's not like a new preaching, right? But I think incentives for me, I don't know. I love this opportunity because I can get vulnerable and say things out loud that I typically only process when I'm driving in my car going from site to site. I don't know that I know what my rewards look like.
Well, do you have like weird thoughts when you drive?
You're not about to come out on this podcast and like say you're a serial killer or something.
Well, there was this one time.
No.
You don't have like thoughts of like a bicyclist. You just want to be like, dunk. No,
that's murder.
He didn't die. You don't know if he died. It was grass.
Because you drove off.
It was grass on the other side. No.
Like,
I just wanted to drive up and be like, dunk, 8 points. You thought about it.
No, anyways, I'm gonna move on from this. I'm gonna get myself in trouble. One of my good buddies is a former cyclist, and so, but I have a special.
He didn't die, did he?
He never got hit.
Okay, thank God.
But what I'm saying is I have a special place of hatred in my heart for cyclists on the road. Yeah.
And he's your friend?
He's a great man.
He's a great man. Does he know about your hatred of cyclists?
He does not. What I'm saying is like, I don't know. Let that sink in. Like, I don't know what my rewards look like. Right.
Okay.
I think if they're in front of me, because I'm sure there's a plethora of rewards in my life. Like I had this realization when I opened up my cupboard the other day and I looked at all the coffee cups in there. And I was like, oh, wow, I've got a lot of options of coffee mugs. This is listen to me. I'm bringing this full circle, right?
Okay, thank you.
Hear me out though. Now think about coming from somebody who's been homeless.
Yeah.
Yeah. Think about not having a cupboard and or opening the cupboard and having only one option.
Right.
I have things where sometimes I internalize these things of like, I haven't acquired this, or I should be in a house on like 5 acres, 10 acres.
Right.
My wife shouldn't have to work, or all these different things. And then I open up my cupboard and I'm like, man, I have options. I'm really not doing that bad. And I'm probably not doing bad at all. Right. So I don't know. Sometimes I don't know what my rewards look like. And or my incentives, the things that I've achieved and accomplished, because I'm just and like going back to talking about being a future thinker, that's where I have an issue, because I can project myself 10 years in advance, know what I just viscerally can know what that feels like. And then I think back in the day, I thought that was a good thing. And I've quickly realized, especially through some of these like talks about learning and proximity and being present and stuff like that, I've quickly realized that the more you do that, it's pretty unique to be able to viscerally imagine things and feel that success already. But what does that do to your execution?
Yeah.
You usually don't. I mean, how much have I really executed on?
Right.
Because if I allow myself to project myself that far ahead, I'm feeling
it's the same dopamine hit.
I don't need to go and do it. So then there's not that same drive. There's not that same tick to like really compartmentalize, because the part of my life that's really inundated right now is my own fault in some areas.
Yeah. I to be honest, it's all of our own fault, right? Because we're the ones making the choices.
Yeah.
You know, I can struggle with contentment at times.
Okay.
And but I think one thing.
I know one area that you struggle.
What do I struggle?
Yeah. You need to learn how to do pull-ups, bro. Pull-ups need to be like a everyday. Take a drink, dude. Process it. Petition out there for how many pull-ups Michael can do.
Half.
Yeah. I'm that guy who tries to do an assistant and it's now pow.
It sucks.
Yeah.
I think the one thing that allowed me to understand contentment better, not understand, but deal with contentment better is I prayed to be in this position. Right? I prayed for this. Right? I prayed for the house I'm in. I prayed for the situation that I'm in. I prayed for the work that I get to do. Right? I prayed for the money I get to make. I prayed for all of that. Right? And it all came to fruition. Right? And so like that to me is content. It's like if I prayed for those days and I'm here, answer prayers. Right? Like that.
What do you mean? That's your reward? That's the reward, is what you're saying?
I think that when reward starts to replace contentment, that's kind of where I need to balance out. What I mean by that is that a lot of times we can get really focused on rewarding ourselves because we believe we're just doing all the work that we need to do and we're executing as much as we can. So why aren't we getting rewarded? And then we get stuck in that like space of like,
poor me.
Yeah. I should be farther, right? You get sucked into social and be like, this dude is 22 and killing it. Like
he's in Greece,
right?
Yeah, he's backflipping off of
right.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like, so I think there's a way to kind of bring yourself back. Not everybody is going to pat you on the back, right?
Yeah. And not everybody's
going to be there. Yeah. Not everybody is going to, right? The hardest part of building anything significant, the hardest part is when everybody is not in the same room with you at midnight and you're going, I have a mountain of work I got to get done still. Right? I have reports that are due tomorrow. I have a podcast that has to be produced and sent out. I have 50 social posts that have to be scheduled, right? I have this, I have that. Name whatever, insert whatever it is that you have, right? Like that's the true cost of building something significant.
Yeah.
Right? I remember working 18-hour days, right? When I switched over from marketing into tech, right? I would do 18-hour days. I'd wake up at 5 a.m. I wouldn't go to bed till about 10, 11 o'clock. I'd get up and do it all over again. I did that for about 10 months straight, and then Microsoft came knocking. And then that's when I was like, okay, I can settle for a minute. I can breathe, right? And then it comes back. All right, well, thank you. I breathe. I'm good. Right? I did it for a couple of years and now it's bad. Then I was like, all right, it's time to get back in it now, right? There's, I worked my butt off for that long. I'm ready to get after it again, right? And that's what I did. And so, not everybody can do it. I know that. I get it, right? A lot of people just need time on their hands, which is fun. Right? Everybody needs time. For me, I didn't have it, right? I knew I needed to make a change quickly, right? So I chose a 9-month runway.
Yeah, it makes me think, especially as you talk about 18-month or 18 hours a day, makes me think about the whole field and everything I gave out there, Maybe it is a mental roadblock. Like, as soon as I start feeling that, it pops up and I start to react kind of aggressively, almost sporadically, actually. When I start feeling I'm going back to that, kind of being just so inundated that you can't even hear your own thoughts type of deal. I think that's interesting and you nailed it on the head. The solution is just praying for the positions that you want to be in, to write those down, write those prayers, not just pray them, but write them down. My dad's always said that too. Smart man, intelligent man. Write down your dreams, write down your prayers, watch them come to fruition. And
it's the same way when you're taught in basketball hand-eye coordination, right? When you're taught how to second nature dribble with their fingertips, right? To be able to always have that feeling, that flow, right? And when you have that, it becomes a second nature, right? But it takes a little bit to learn that practice. And it's the same way with writing it down. So when you write down whatever it is in your head, because we've had a conversation about this before, and you're like, I'm not like that, right? But what happens is that there's when you write something down and get out of your head, it's almost as if you're talking about it, right? So as this is therapeutic for you, right? As far as you might write it down the first few times and go, this is the dumbest thing freaking in the world. Like this is Michael's stupid, and so is David Goggins. I don't know. But at the end of the day, but repetitiveness creates that momentum and that rhythm, and then it can become therapeutic. So for me, it started off as this way of being able to sharpen myself in connection, right? And then we met in the middle and became therapy. For you, I really believe that getting a lot of the stuff that's inside your head, because you have so much time to be able to think, and just like your head is filled, right? And that's probably your biggest, I'm not going to say downfall, but your biggest roadblock is that your head is so filled with stuff all the time at any given time. And your head is always running, which is probably why you have a hard time sleeping as well. Right?
You think so?
100%.
Yeah.
100% I do, right? Because I've been there, right? I 100% know. But my mentor told me this. An old mentor, David Rose, told me, he goes, the best way to get over roadblock is to hit them head on. Sounds dumb, sounds simple, but it's literally the same, right? So what I mean by that is, if you're going to hit them head on, what do you have to do, right? What's the easiest way to get stuff out of your head? Talk about it or write it down, right? Brain dump it somewhere, right? Brain dump it into ChatGPT, brain dump it into notes, brain dump it somewhere, right? And then if there are thoughts that you're like, I want to revisit these, then go back and organize them the way you want it.
Yeah.
Right? But just brain dump the way that it's coming out. Zero fluff, zero grammar, zero nothing. However it comes out of your head is how it goes on paper. Right? And then that's why
you don't want to see my journals, dude.
That's what I'm saying. Right?
Yeah.
I know.
I don't even know if I can read it. Yeah.
I think your hatred of cyclists is going to come out and your friend's going to see it.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, get it out of your head, man. Get it out of your head, because it's the easiest thing. It is if we want to talk in a business context term, it's the lowest hanging fruit.
Yeah. That's good. That's a good safety term as well.
It's the lowest hanging fruit. And so with that, this has been fantastic. Man, I think this has been extremely helpful for me to understand where you are. But I think at the end of the day, bro, I think what it really means is that what we're really trying to say, you don't need a personal brand. You need a real life. Yeah.
And don't over monetize everything and just strangle it out, strangle it out, kill it for what it started as, you know.
Take it not everything's and shoot it.
What?
Take it behind the shed and shoot it.
Okay, bro, you're already talking about hitting cyclists, and now you're talking about, I'm worried about you, dude, to be honest.
I'm worried about everybody that watches the Son of Sam documentary.
Yeah, right. So. No, realistically though, it's going to change, but keep the value. Keep the value there.
Absolutely, man.
It'll, Adam Weisner, he said it really well. Keep doing it. Keep plugging away.
Yep.
Do it for its original purpose.
Yeah.
And it finds a home and a settling place.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, this has been fun, man.
Yeah, indeed it has, man.
Till next time, guys. Appreciate you guys for joining. Of course, you guys can follow from every platform out there, specifically YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe. Please, that would do us a favor, big favor, and share with your friends.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
Peace.